Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Dry Drowning on PC. Oh, that's right, we're going to try to reconstruct everything. Yeah, well, let's see how this is going to work. Alright, first things first. We know the victim's eyeballs were carefully removed after she died. These were found inside her mouth, which was cruelly sewn up. Exactly, what's your point? Baker can't be responsible for such violent actions because... he didn't have the sufficient skills. Tell me, Freya, could you remove someone's eyeball with the same level of accuracy as of the killer? What kind of question is that? Mordred is right. Removing eyeballs with such accuracy is anything but simple. Only someone with sophisticated surgical skills could do it. Mr. Baker is definitely not a surgeon, and I believe he lacks the guts to do such things. Removing eyeballs and sewing mouths, not an everyday activity, is it? Especially if it's about an old politician used to living in luxury. Besides, according to your version, Baker is supposed to have a wound on his hand after the struggle with the victim. A surgical operation with a wounded hand? Totally unrealistic, if you ask me. I admit your point makes sense, yet it's not enough to clear Baker. This suggests he had an accomplice, if anything. An accomplice that the witness claims to not have seen. I get your point, but that's not the real discrepancy. What are you talking about? Your colleague reported that, after removing the eyeballs and sewing up the mouth, after a short struggle during which he had his hand wounded, Baker tied the woman to the tree, undressed her, and arranged the flowers and her hair. Something that probably took hours. Can you confirm this is your official version? Yeah, exactly. Don't you think this reconstruction is lacking a crucial detail? I don't get what you mean. The evidence that was completely left out in the reconstruction is... Let's see, I think it's the glove, right? Man's glove. Crazy or what? This evidence doesn't make any sense. Think, Mordred, what evidence did they leave out? Oh, on the bench. What's this one? Lead arrow. Bench. Knife used by the killer at Treasury Park to murder Alicia Hart. The police suspect that Baker was also wounded by the same knife during the struggle. Promises of vainglory. Let's see, heavy arrow found in the victim's chest. Its size and weight suggest that it was lodged in after death due to the slit in her throat. 2 arrows were shot by the god of love. That? The lead arrow? Precisely. This arrow is fundamental to solve the case. I have reasons to believe Baker arrived on the crime scene when it had already happened. And why would you assume that? I think the suspect saw the body of his lover. He panicked and tried to remove the arrow right away. The victim's throat had been cut. What's the point of removing a lead arrow from the body? Look closely. The cut on her throat is completely covered by the head, and the blood poured directly on the wound inflicted by the arrow. And what does that have to do with Baker's innocence? Just think about it. Baker gets here and he sees his lover's body. He panics, noting the arrow and the bleeding wound. At that point, he tries to pull the arrow out to save her, maybe yelling at her, hoping that she's still alive. That'd be something really foolish. Not if you're completely panicking. Anyway, your version of the events doesn't make sense either. There were no fingerprints on the arrow. There's no way Baker could have tried to pull it out. You're wrong. Baker didn't leave any fingerprints because of this evidence. The glove. Gloves are amazing, don't you think? They're discreet and leave no fingerprints. Where the hell did you find that glove? Right here, under the omnipresent nose of our infallible police force. You're just a liar, Foley. I knew I shouldn't have listened to you. Do you really believe your men had no reason to hide it? How many of them would like to see Baker behind bars? And how many can you trust? Hiding something so important in plain sight, it's a classic in this kind of situation. Especially if he was previously arranged. Besides, the cut on the glove suggests that there was a fight. But it happened in a completely different way. The suspect was probably attacked from behind while he was trying to pull out the arrow. He instinctively turned around, protecting his face with his hand, thus getting wounded. At that point, he tried to run away, but his escape lasted just a few steps. What makes you believe that? This is the evidence that shows that the suspect's escape had ended right away. The bench. While running away, Baker was thrown hard against the bench, destroying it, giving its current state. That makes sense. And I bet the blood on the side of the bench is actually Baker's. And how do you explain what happened next? What the... This alleged attacker let Baker get away, an eyewitness condemning him? Or are you telling me that an injured old man can run faster than a merciless killer? Who is she? This is Abigail Sherman, the eyewitness of Alicia's murder. Let's see, psychological profile. Abigail is a rebel girl who deeply hates the establishment system of Nova Palomas. She is bashful and introverted, so crushed by grief and sorrow she had been feeling for a long time. Born in a wealthy, old-fashioned family, Abigail never accepted to be subject to her father's rules, unlike her sister Anne. Because of this, she was disinherited at the age of 17. Now, she entirely depends on her sister's financial resources and has to live in the same house with the despised Richard Baker, whom she believes to represent everything that is wrong in Nova Palomas. Palomas? Palomas? She is... What? It detects it not feeling well. What's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. Crushing your creative hypothesis made you uncomfortable. Quite the contrary, miss. You just opened my eyes. What are you talking about? Now, excuse me, I have an important meeting. You'll be hearing from me soon, Freya. Hey, where the hell are you going? What an idiot. And I even listened to him. Why did you run off? An animal-shaped mask appeared on Abigail's face. And this means our precious witness is lying. Extracted from the psychiatric evaluation of Mordred Foley. I'll try to be as clear as possible, Professor. Every time someone lies to me, an animal-shaped mask appears on their face, distorting space and reality. I never understood where this waking nightmare came from, and I honestly don't care. Right now, I just want you to stop messing with me by saying that no one is ever going to listen to this conversation. How can I deduce that you're lying? Take a guess. One of the masks again. So you think she's the killer? Not necessarily. She could be an accomplice, or maybe just trying to frame the suspect. We need more evidence before interrogating her, and we must hear Baker's version first. Maybe he'll be able to explain how he got away instead of getting murdered in cold blood. He should be at the police station. Let's pay him a visit. Okay, but first, I need to talk to you. Come back to the office as soon as you can. I'll be back when I get the chance. In the meantime, I'll put the evidence in order. The useless evidence has been removed from your inventory. Yay! New destination available, police station. Okay. Let's go talk to our partner. Or can we? Oh, we can't go back. For a citizen, there's nothing more humiliating than being unemployed. Oh, there's a lot of there's a couple million humiliated people around here. Homicide department. Half of the people who work here want to see me in the electric chair. Only half? You're underestimating your talent, detective. What the? You're the last person I expected to see here, Foley. David? Don't tell me you need your favorite attorney's advice again. I'd rather spend 4 more years in court than hear your stupid jokes. David Casey. David's nature is characterized by a strong personal ambition, which, together with his charisma and his silver tongue, helped him become one of the most famous defense attorneys of the entire city. Casey was born and raised in a low-class family, and since he was very young, has been fighting to raise his status. Known for accepting some of Nova Polomos. There's got to be a good way to say this. Polomos? Nova Polomos? That sounds better. Most controversial cases, David successfully defended Detective Foley, earning his exoneration for lack of evidence. I saved you from being fried in an electric chair, and that's how you thank me? I'm disappointed, my friend. I'm not your friend, and honestly, I don't want to. I'm here just to see Richard Baker. Any idea where he could be? Of course, my client has just got out of the interrogation room. He's on the phone now, but he'll be available soon. Client? That's funny. Are you going to settle with 30 years of prison for him too? Oh, come on. Are you still upset about that? And to think that I'm the one who mentioned your name to the Black Bands. Well, thank you for putting me in this freaking mess then. I know, I'm such a big-hearted man. But then again, I've always been a fan of lost causes. Either way, before you speak with Baker, I should probably share some information with you. What kind of information? Let's start from the beginning. Baker situation. How's Baker doing? He's trying to keep up his appearances, but he's visibly upset. His left arm is full of bruises, and the wound on his right hand is more serious than expected. Probably he won't be able to move his fingers for a while. Interesting. So the knife wound that Baker suffered is very deep, causing his hand to be completely unusable. Working with Black Bands. How the hell did you end up with the Black Bands? You always claim to hate their political ideas. Someone once said, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Besides, money and ideals are two completely different things. And you should know what I mean better than anyone. Probably you already know, but people have no idea that my client is under investigation for the murder at Treasury Park. However, this won't last for long. As soon as the news spreads, the consequences for Baker and his party will be catastrophic. What makes you think that? There are few crimes in the city, and even fewer murders, and that's why this whole case is a ticking bomb. Besides, Mrs. Baker is on the verge of a breakdown. She's convinced that, after her husband's lover, they want to kill her as well. Ah, love. What a wonderful thing. On a second thought, that woman could shed some light on Abigail and Baker's relationship. I can give you Baker's address, but be careful. Don't say too much, or you're going to unleash hell. And the last thing we want is her blowing the whistle to the media. Remember, I can protect you from judges and journalists. But no one escapes the Black Band's revenge. Don't worry, though. I'm sure that a sweet guy like you will be able to cheer her up. Well, I suppose it's time for you to talk to your beloved party leader. But first, I need to ask you something about Treasury Park's crime scene. Little Birdie told me that someone found evidence which has not been reported amongst those discovered by the police. You've no idea who this person might be, have you? Is he referring to the glove I found? That specific evidence would help him in the trial, but I'd risk getting Freya into trouble for not retrieving it. What should I do? I don't want to keep fucking Freya. That's all I've been doing is fucking Freya over. Although she doesn't really like me either, right? I mean, the right thing to do is to submit the evidence. So, yeah, here we go. You're a true bloodhound, my boy. Something that could deprive the police of their credibility and save our client. I hope this won't make Freya hate me even more. She could turn my investigation into absolute hell. Oh, perfect timing. Oh, my dear Mordred, this is Richard Baker, party leader of the Black Bands. Oh, Detective Foley, we finally meet. Pleasure's mine, Mr. Baker. Sorry to bother you, but I urgently need to ask you some questions. You're a man who goes straight to the point, I see. I just went through 4 hours of interrogation, but I suppose more questioning won't kill me. Besides, as you know, there's no rest for the wicked. Then I'll leave you lovebirds alone. If you need anything, don't hesitate to contact me. Shall we start, Detective? I'm curious to know what you want from me. Black Band's politics. You're considered one of the moderate members of the party. Why? Because, unlike most of my colleagues, I don't discriminate people on the basis of their race, gender, or religion. It all depends on what they're worth. And such worthiness is defined by the Patterson test that we introduced more than 20 years ago. See, every 5 years of Nova Palamos, every 5 years, the citizens of Nova Palamos must take the Patterson test. It consists of multiple questions aimed at assessing the IQ and the individual skills of each person. Obtaining a high score brings several advantages, such as better job positions, being able to share personal thoughts on the internet, and free access to medical facilities. In the city, there are many institutes that offer courses to help prepare people for the test. They are usually attended by older people, who often find it more difficult to pass the test. Oh, the Patterson test. You mean that sort of examination which collects people's personal information, like individual skills, earning, origin, and the political party they support? Listen to me, Mr. Foley. If you think we can share the resources of Nova Palamos with everyone, you're just a fool. Uncontrolled immigration, poor education, and the opinion of illiterate people are the reasons behind the threat of a collapse. Nova Palamos is built on ambition, and I won't let some deadbeat parasites destroy our little paradise. I'm starting to think that you're exploiting education to create your personal army of puppets. You may disagree with our vision, Detective, but this will remind you that your future is bound to mine. If I fail, you're going down with me. Thus, I suggest you put a muzzle on your inner rabid dog. Case reconstruction. Mr. Baker, I need to hear your version of the facts. Try to describe the events of that night, and be as accurate as possible. Alicia contacted me a few days earlier. She was threatening to reveal our affair to the press if I didn't agree to economically support her for life. She suggested meeting in Treasury Park to discuss the terms of the agreement, and I had to accept without saying a word. I got there on time. I just wanted this to be over with once and for all. When I arrived, she had already been tied to that tree and killed. I yelled at her, hoping she was still alive, and I panicked so much that I tried to pull out the damn arrow. Shortly after, someone attacked me from behind and hurt my hand with a knife while I was trying to defend myself. I tried to run, but after a few steps I was thrown against the bench. I got hurt and I fainted. I was sure I was going to die. Before losing consciousness, though, I heard someone screaming, maybe a girl, then it all goes blank. A girl screaming? I woke up 10 minutes later, and I was left alone with the body. The attacker had disappeared. What the... Taking advantage of the moment, I managed to get away and call for help. You know the rest of the story. Oh, well, he was lying about some part of it, huh? Could you describe your relationship with Alicia? Alicia, she was young and naive. Maybe too naive. Alicia is an impulsive and emotional girl. Despite her sweet and motherly personality, her disappointment towards the country's politics made her reticent and distrustful of people she doesn't know. Biography. Daughter of a painter and a humble pharmacist, she could never fulfill her childhood dream to study filmmaking, so she decided to quit school after graduation. She's currently doing odd jobs, dreaming of entering the movie business. Oh, well, not so much anymore right now, huh? There was a fire inside her. She wanted to be an artist and a director, but she could not afford any schools in Nova Palamos. She used to wander around the city while filming places and people with a 50-year-old camera, hoping to make a name for herself, to become someone. And why would someone like her decide to bond with the black band's leader? The flesh is weak, and ambition never comes from innocence. She was beautiful, and I was able to give her what she wanted. You can figure out the rest. Something wrong, detective? I noticed something interesting while you were talking. What do you mean? You talked about the case, your party, and the victim. However, you never said anything about one of the most important actors in this huge farce. And I believe that's no coincidence. I don't understand. The person you've been avoiding mentioning is... Oh, it's not her. It's not him. We talked about Alicia. Julie? Are you trying to make me lose my temper? No, this is not the person he didn't mention. Focus, Mordred. What? Guess it'll be her. The very same person that's testifying against you. Abigail. What does she have to do with this? You should tell me that. You should tell me that. What are you trying to imply? Abigail is testifying against me? Why the hell should I defend her? It's my life at stake, not hers. Just as I thought. Baker's lying, and the mask proves it. Before I interrogate him further, I'll need more evidence on Abigail and Alicia in order to find the truth. I might find that evidence by talking to his wife. I should go back and fill in Hera. Please forgive my insinuations, Mr. Baker. I've gone too far. Huh? What's this sudden U-turn, Mr. Foley? Well, don't worry. If you need me, you'll find me right here. Just don't take too long to find the truth, or whatever could get me out of here. Need more evidence to expose Baker? You may find it by exploring unlocked locations or interrogating other characters. Alright, let's go talk to our partner. Oh, Mordred. You're back. I hope you don't mind if I put some music on. I remember the song. You composed it when we started our agency. Yeah, I did, so that I could relive the thrill I felt in creating something of my own. Now we might lose everything, so the memory of those moments is all I have left. When I think of those days, I realize that we've become the monsters we swore to destroy. Hera, are you okay? Yes, just... Quite frankly, I don't understand you, Mordred. You accepted the case without even blinking, teaming up with those who have ruined our lives of thousands of people, mine included. And this was all for money and to save what remains of our so-called agency? Don't be childish, Hera. We can't feed on dreams and ideals. Wise up, Mordred. Could you really live with yourself, conscious that you unleashed those beasts? Black Band's flyer, okay. A propaganda flyer depicting Baker's face. On the back, there are lots of sentences about respect, family, and sense of honor and unity. If they win, we'll settle this Pandora thing once and for all, and then we'll leave. Just you and me. Everyone else can just go to hell. You're the only one I can trust. I need you to be sure that you really want to follow me to the end. You say you need me, but you keep treating me like a child who cannot handle the truth. What are you talking about? I'm talking about when you decided to cut me out of the investigation in Treasury Park. I did it for your own good, and you know it. I know, but stop treating me like a weakling. I'm stronger than you think. Believe me, I know. And either way, please, when the time comes, please carefully consider whether our future outweighs the life and hopes of thousands of people. I'm dead serious when I say that our decision could disrupt the entire society of Nova Palamos. Now, how about filling me in on what happened? Sit down. It's going to take a while. So Baker's lying too. Indeed. And I need more evidence to push him to tell me what really happened. Right, I'll be here if you need to talk. Let's see, as the investigation progresses, you will unlock more conversation topics with Hera. Go back to her if you're stuck or need some help. Okay, Baker's house. Let's go talk to Baker's wife. Nova Palamos has a strict gender equality policy. While only 5% of the most important jobs are handled by women. Interesting. Wow. I expected Baker to love luxury, but not my favorite megalomaniac managed to surprise me once again. Who let you in here? This is my house. Ah, you must be Anne Baker. Your housekeeper let me in. I'm Mordred Foley, and vulnerable and submissive, Anne has always been constrained by her family's expectations. Because of this, she's always felt the need to depend on someone strong and charismatic. Biography. Anne Baker, maiden name Sherman, was born in an old-fashioned family which has been attached to duty and tradition since the time they were on English soil, more than a century ago. Okay. There's no need for you to introduce yourself. Your sloppy outfit and that lingering stench of tobacco. You must be one of those vainly asking for an interview, hoping to further disgrace my husband's name. You reporters are just parasites, feeding off the misery of a man who's created an empire with the sweat of his brow. I'm not a damn reporter. I'm the detective hired by your husband. Huh? My husband reached out to a detective? And why wasn't I aware of this? As I suspected, Baker has kept her out of the entire thing. They're hiding things from you to protect you, madame, but I'm here because your help could be of vital importance to the investigation. And how could I even help you? Just answer my questions for now. Abigail Sherman. If you're truly convinced of your husband's innocence, why would Abigail testify against him? What kind of question is that? Someone probably tricked my sister into this, knowing about her relationship with Alicia. Were they good friends? More than you can imagine. Alicia was probably the only person who could make Abigail smile. The victim. What can you tell me about this Alicia Hart? That poor angel. Alicia was a dear friend of my sister. They were both artists, dreaming about shooting a movie together. She used to come here often. She was the only person able to cheer up my beloved Abigail. My dear Richard became aware of that and started to support Alicia's work, hoping to give her a bright future. Naturally, some mischievous big mouths asserted that she was engaged in an intimate affair with my husband, but they are just envious of his kindness. After all, you cannot expect those beasts to be able to comprehend such highest examples of altruism. That's why some worm killed her, and now my darling is forced to sleep amongst those wolves. No mask on her face. This woman really believes in her husband's faithfulness. She must have been subjected to a sick brainwashing to make her believe in such a twisted version of reality. My beloved Richard has always been a man like no other. Vigorous, valiant, altruistic. Unlike those snakes of the Black Hands, he always decided in favor of peace and equality, striving for the rights of every citizen. It's pathetic how the vast majority of police were against him. Do you think he was maybe framed for his colleagues? Or by his colleagues? Of course. Who else could ever want to get in the way of such a good man? Looking for evidence. To help your husband, I need to search your house. It won't take long. Just let me... Absolutely not. My husband is innocent, and all you want to do is drag his name through the mud, torturing my miserable soul. Admit it, you were sent by the police and Finley, those animals. Madame, I have no idea who these people are. They are my husband's biggest rivals. Those hypocrites claim peace but crave his place. I'm just wasting time. I need to convince her to let me investigate around. Hera could have some ideas. She's always been better than me at persuading people. What do you think you're doing snooping around my house? Don't you dare touch anything or I'll call the police. Great, just what I needed. I have to inspect the house. I need more evidence. But how can I distract her? Let's go back to talk to Hera, I guess. Oh, I guess I could use my band to contact her. Yeah, I thought, of course I forgot about that. Alright, let's go back. Anne Baker. Let me guess, Anna's not quite the angel you imagined. That woman won't let me touch anything in that damn mansion. Maybe you should trigger her fears, perhaps showing her something about her husband or the black bands. Leveraging on people's fears, that's my thing. The glove. Regarding the glove, don't you think we could have ruined Freya's career forever by showing it to David? Freya is the least of our problems right now. Besides, we would never be able to solve the glove issue without her help. I see. I just hope that won't have serious consequences. You know, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Why wouldn't Baker tell us the truth? He's the one who's hired us, after all. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's hiding something about Abigail. Anne could be the solution to most of our problems. She's the eyewitness's sister and Clyde's wife, after all. Have you already tried talking to her? Well, yeah, I'm kind of in the middle of that. Use that. It's a leap of faith, but maybe it's worth a try. Do you recognize this flyer? Of course, it was used during the campaign of Richard's party. Precisely. On the back there are some high-sounding words like respect, honor, unity, and pride. However, it seems that many members of the Black Bands do not follow these principles. And you have made clear on many occasions that your husband has lots of enemies inside the party and the police force. So tell me, madam, have you ever considered the idea that those enemies could hurt you? What? So it's true. They want to kill me too. It's a possibility. If you don't let me investigate, your life will be in danger. Do you understand that? Perhaps. Perhaps you're right. Fine. I give you carte blanche to run your investigations. But please, don't let those people harm me. This poor woman is a shadow of herself. Maybe I should tell her the truth about Baker. Or maybe I should just calm her, preventing her from doing something reckless. Alright, but first you should know that. Oh god, I don't probably want to introduce that. That'll screw things up. Let's just reassure her right now. Your husband can't wait to hold you in his arms again. That silly man, thinking of me despite the situation. Thank you, detective. You really have a good heart. Oh, no, I don't. Poor woman. Condemned to live in a glass prison made of empty words and fake feelings. The truth would have hurt her too much, even if it could help her out of this nightmare. Now I'd better investigate. I'd give anything to spend a week in an armchair like this. Fireplaces in Nova Palamos. Now I've seen it all. If the artist's intention was to portray their emotional distress, well, he succeeded. A bookcase full of books about sociology, politics, and history. I bet Baker bought them just to impress his guests. Only Baker could have something this tacky. I can't imagine how much they paid for something like this. Looks more like an entrance to a crypt rather than a door. Rich people's tastes are just horrible. This photo has been flipped down. They look like Alicia and Abigail. Those two seem to be really close. So why has the pic flipped that way? This picture portraying the relationship between the victim and the eyewitnesses has been found face down. Alicia is holding the old camera she always carries around. There. Okay. Yeah. Right. Drawers containing useless paperwork and old articles about the Black Bands. I haven't seen chairs like these for years. I can imagine they were still. I couldn't imagine they were still popular amongst Nova Palamos elitists. An old yet still working laptop. There doesn't seem to be anything interesting, but I can say for sure that it's Abigail's computer, given the huge amount of... Wait a minute. What are these? Dozens of cryptic emails from a few days before the murder sent to someone named Tapatok. From the little Greek I know, I think it means Tartarus or something like that. How the hell did Abigail manage to encrypt and send those emails without getting blocked by the security team? Since its foundation, Nova Palamos has been using Caligula, an IT and browsing system mandatory for everyone in the city. All the citizens who pass the Patterson test have the right to use it, and every content they create, see, or share is analyzed by both the city police and the secret services. This is completely free and widely accepted due to the high navigation speed and the security it provides amongst a population who consider themselves elitists, who fear strangers and everything that could break their status quo. Importing or using different operating systems is a crime punished with jail or expulsion. I should probably just ask her as soon as I'm done with Baker. Old data chip. It contains several encrypted emails sent to an address called Tartarus a few days before the murder from what seems to be Abigail's computer. Old storaging supports are the only way of transferring information from Nova Palamos without getting caught by Caligula control systems. I found far less than I hoped for. I guess the police have cleaned out. Has been cleaned out before my arrival. Anyway, I think I have enough evidence to expose that sleazy farce of Baker's. The truth. Mr. Baker, it's time for you to tell me the truth about Abigail and the night Alicia was killed. We already have been through this. I didn't see Abigail that night, and I already gave you my version of the murder. Welcome to the Living Nightmare system. In this game mode, you will have to expose your interlocutor's lies by presenting facts or evidence collected during investigation. If you submit the wrong evidence for 3 times throughout the whole dialogue, it will be game over. Consider carefully before choosing. You're lying through your teeth, my dear Mr. Baker. First things first. When you told me about the victim, you never explained the two of you had met. It all started when Alicia contacted me for a simple interview. Nonetheless, she never had any kind of relationship with my family. Is that so? If your family didn't know her, how can you explain this? They seem to be pretty close, considering they're supposed to be strangers. Don't you agree, Mr. Baker? I can only imagine how pleased Abigail was when she discovered that her dearest friend had an intimate relationship with her brother-in-law. Lizzie used to come to our house quite often. She and Abigail were very close and they were trying to film some sort of documentary. One night she approached me with the excuse of showing me her work and, well, since then Abigail's been despising me even more. Her will to testify against me did not take me by surprise. If you wanted to humiliate me, mission accomplished, but I still can't understand where your rants are heading. One step at a time. Let's go back to your fight with the killer. You said you heard a girl screaming right before losing consciousness. Exactly. What's wrong about that? The attacker could have killed you at any time, but insisted he decided to run away for no apparent reason. This would be nonsense unless... the killer was already gone. The killer recognized the voice. Killer is Abigail. I don't think Abigail was the killer. Let's say the killer recognized the voice. The killer recognized the screaming voice. And that voice belonged to... Abigail, I guess? I don't know. What? The look on your face is worth 1,000 words. Damn it, alright. There's never no screaming nor fainting. During the struggle, I grabbed my taser and temporarily paralyzed the killer so I could escape. I never told anyone because tasers are illegal in Nova Palamos. I would have risked imprisonment no matter what. Come on, you can do better than this. Your lies are getting less and less effective. You never used a taser against the killer, and this evidence proves it. His hand? I don't know. The police stated you struggled with the attacker, holding him with your left hand because the right was severely injured shortly before. Using any weapon would have been totally impossible. I don't. This panicking of yours does nothing but reinforce my theories, Mr. Baker. After you were thrown against the bench, Abigail screamed, running towards you and distracting the killer so that you could escape. That girl saved your life. I cannot hide anything from you, right, detective? It's true. The killer seemed to know her. They started whispering to each other, but she was looking quite scared of his presence. Then I ran away like a coward, leaving her in the clutches of that monster. I've really no clue how she knew him, but I'm sure she's testifying against me because the killer's blackmailing her. So, you think the killer left you both alive to exploit Abigail in court? I'm almost certain. So, you contacted our agency hoping that I arrested the wrong person, thus saving both your life and Abigail's. Damn it, that girl was manipulated by the killer. I must talk to her now. Just a moment, Foley. Remember, if something bad happens to Abigail, you're a dead man. This whole thing appears to be more complex than expected. I must talk to Abigail as soon as possible. Especially about these emails I found on her computer. Maybe she's still with Freya. I should find her. Freya, the first time I'm really happy to see you. You again? What the hell do you want from me? Where's Abigail? I need to talk to her. Are you maybe going to apologize to her for running away so pathetically? Enough with your bullshit. Listen to me. What? You're kidding, right? No, Abigail knows the killer, who's probably blackmailing her. You mentioned some emails. Do you have the files with you by any chance? Yes, but are you sure you can decrypt them? We know how many times people go to the loo in a day. Hell, if some stupid emails can stop me. Good, I'm putting my trust in you. Seriously? You saved them on this junk? Your colleagues must not see this evidence, not even the ones you trust. Driven by their hate for Baker, they could make it disappear, and we would miss our chance to find the truth. I don't trust you, but if it makes you feel better, I trust my colleagues even less. I'll call Abigail and send her to your office. Just don't make me regret my decision. Call me as soon as you find something. And try not to be reckless. Sorry, I'm not taking advice from a criminal. See you later, Foley. I can only imagine what she'll do when she finds out that I gave David the glove. Anyway, now I just need to go back to the office and put an end to this farce. I guess we can do 3 saves, yeah. Alright, why don't we stop it there? Yeah, this is audap, and you've been watching Dry Drowning on PC. I'm really intrigued by this story. I don't know if you are. I hope you're enjoying it as well as much as I am. I'm sorry I haven't been playing this every day. I would like to, but I just tend to run out of hours throughout the day. But yeah, I definitely want to play this all the way through. I'm pretty intrigued, and thankfully I got through that first challenging part without screwing that up, which is something unusual for me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.